Hello, Christine Cardoza from Oasis of Healing Spa, and it is my honor to be a part of the 90-year birthday celebration for Dr. Hamer. That's so exciting. He has really changed my business and my life as far as, the information that I use in my day-to-day, which is really awesome. And so I'm just so grateful to be here. I'm going to share my screen and we will get started. I have been studying German new medicine for 2.5 years, and it has, just been so neat to see when I work with clients, the transformation and being able to track the story. I think that is one of the bigger um, parts to being able to help someone. And so we're going to go through and talk about, first of all, the celebrating of Dr. Hamer, and thank you to Global GHK for allowing this celebration to go on and for the incredible work that they are doing to spread the GHK knowledge. I've been a part of their Sunday Zooms for quite a long time, about 8 months or so, and I'm just so amazed at the level of presentations that are on each week. It's really amazing. So I highly recommend the membership. And today we're going to talk about reading natural body language and especially the kidney collecting tubules. I think it's really important that, we learn to read our own body language and, to be able to just know what is going on in our body and what it is that, that we have happening inside. All right. So let me get started with the presentation. Again, just another slide here for Dr. Hamer saying thank you so much for the incredible work that you have given humanity, really, to be able to help us. Next is the disclaimer. The information presented here is for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. Participants are advised to consult their medical doctors for health-related concerns before applying for any information disclosed in this presentation. And thirdly, students are instructed not to use the information presented herein for examination purposes. Okay, so with body language, this is a really fun topic. And I just, I keep coming back to it time and time again as like the main thing that, if I could help humanity with one thing, is like learn how to read your body language. Because when you have this inner knowledge, then the symptoms or fears around it just become so much less. So your body has its own biological language. If we look at a communication study that I learned in Freya, uh, really when we're speaking to someone else, 7% of the words when we're communicating actually get through to the other person. So think about all the times you've shared things and maybe felt like you were not understood. This will be why. 38% is the tone of voice that's being used, whether it's, pleasant or not. And 55% is from body language. So our bodies are reading each other's fields automatically before we even say any words. And so I just think that this is going to be a really fun chat on different ways that you can read your own body language. I'm going to talk today about kidney collecting tubules. I think that's one of the most important as far as being able to know how your body is in different symptoms, but also maybe there's someone else you might be able to share GHK through the knowledge of the KCT. And, are you able to read the symptoms or signs of your own body? Do you know how to temperature check yourself and what is going on? And are you conflict active or in a healing phase? Okay, those are basically the two phases of the body. And so just knowing what you have or what is going on, then you can read your own body. Okay, next, your body is your wingman. I love this because, being able to read your body, you are going to, oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to work my presentation here, you're really going to know how to read your own body language. Pattern awareness is so key. What are your patterns, right? Until we know what our patterns are, we're not able to change them. We just kind of go with the flow, or that's what I did up until learning GHK. So these are some basic beginning steps and tools that you can use on how to start reading your own body language. First is handedness. So are you right-handed or left-handed? And the graphic on the right side, if you need some help with this, you can screenshot. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but basically, if you think of your nurturing side, your mother-child side, if you're right-hand dominant, that would be your left side. If you're left-hand dominant, then your nurturing side is your right hand or the right side of your body. So if that is the only thing that you take away from this presentation, especially if you're newer, learn that skill, or helping other people, or recognizing in others, like your kids or people who are close to you, what their handedness is, and then you will be able to understand and read your own body a little bit more. So I'll speak to right-handers. If you're left-handed, it's just the opposite. And so when you're left-handed, when you're right-handed, that left side of your body is mother-child, your actual mom. I get asked that question. So your actual mom and kids. If you've not had kids like myself, then my fur baby would count under that. Okay. And I raised a niece, so she would count on my mother-child side. And then the right for me is everyone else, or the dominant side for you is partner and everyone else. It's your dad, your siblings, coworkers, friends, someone who cuts you off in traffic. Legit, it's everyone else. So you really only need to remember the one side to know which one is your mother child. And if that is the only thing you can remember, you will be able to read your body forevermore. So you got a hip issue or a foot issue, you can start to process, what's been going on in my world in the last 12 hours, and did I resolve something? I tell clients that's like one of the best questions you can ask yourself when a symptom comes up, because 80% of the time you did resolve something. Okay, the next question you can ask yourself is, are you hot or cold? When you are hot, you're in healing, and when you're cold, you're conflict active, or you are in that fight or flight stage. I call it the tiger, right? It's that moment and your body's on high alert and you're ready to run. There's a tiger. Okay, you can tell when people are breathing. If they're breathing through their mouth, then they are in conflict active. They're ready to run. That tiger's there and the body is ready to go. If you're breathing through your nose, then you are in a parasympathetic or in a calmer state, and your body's not in that hyper state, or that hyper state. I'll leave it there. Next, the third is, how is your breath right now? I'm going to talk today a lot about breath because that is our number one, and it's free and it's yours. And you can tell whether you are okay based on your breath. And so if you have shallow breathing, anxiety, predator breath, like being in the top part of your lungs, or you're holding your breath, then that would be a sign that you are not in calm. If you are sitting forward, that's another part of body language. Watch your kids too, right? They're ready to run. So their body is in a calm state. But if you're leaning back in your chair, or when you're on the couch or you're talking to someone and you're able to lean back, then I can already tell that you are in a state of rest and digest, or parasympathetic. Okay, so with your breath, even right now, pay attention. Is it in your higher chest? Okay, or are you breathing down through the diaphragm and allowing the diaphragm to continue to help the lower part of your body to work? I mainly work in the lower part of the body. And so this is a big thing I notice when clients are with me or on the table, is that we've got quick, shallow breaths, myself included. Like, I've been doing this work for 8 years, my own healing journey from depression. And it wasn't until I started to learn how to meditate 5 years ago, that 5 months after I started to, just be more aware of my surroundings and meditation and stuff like that. It took me 5 months to come down out of fight or flight enough to know that I was holding my breath. I'm at the computer, I was doing something that I really enjoyed, and I realized that I was holding my breath. My body was in that fight or flight. There was a tiger. For whatever reason, my body was in that hyper aware, uh-oh, something's going down. And so I, was able to realize that in the breath and to make some changes in that moment. Okay, so we're going to talk about breath today because it is super important. And then another thing you can do if you would like while you're watching this presentation is pick one symptom or one thing that you've had that's happened to you, and we're going to track some things. And you can maybe then play detective or determine what or how that thing came into your world or into your awareness. Okay, this is the biological law number 2. Okay, there's 5 in total. I'm not going to go through all 5. I'm going to talk about number 2 and 3 today. But the second biological law is the law of the 2 phases. Okay, and if you learn these 2 phases, you will have less worry about your body's natural biological language. You will be able to read your own body. So on the left side of the chart there where the sun is, this would be you. Let's say everything's okay. And then all of a sudden, that first red alarm bubble there, thank you, Dr. Melissa South, for this graphic, is when the conflict would come. Okay, and when that conflict comes, that is when you felt alone, isolated, and caught on the wrong foot. There's the 3 criteria that has to happen in that moment that where you felt alone, isolated, and caught on the wrong foot. Okay. And then what happens is you are now conflict active. So it's that blue part there on the slide. So as with conflict active, you are not hungry, you're barely peeing based on what you're drinking, you might be cold, you're going to be waking up at all times of the night. Think of the animal kingdom as you listen to anything with GHK. As you are trying to resolve the conflict, you're waking up, or your body basically is in that sympathetic, that fight or flight. Your body is trying to resolve the conflict. Okay. Now, let's say you resolve a conflict, and that can be from a perception change, either, better boundaries, or you say, I'm not doing that anymore, or the thing that was bothering you becomes meaningless. You've made it boring somehow, or you've processed so that it's not a bother for you or a worry. Or you move, you change jobs, you have a baby, person dies, the person that's been your heart, I call them the trickery people in our lives. They are, basically the thing cannot happen again. And then you go into resolution. Okay. And that is the part of the chart there. The first red bubble on the bottom is when you go into the first healing phase. Now, with healing phases, this is when the symptoms come. This is 80% of the time when you have resolved something, like I was mentioning, and your body has gone into the resolution where you have symptoms. You've got night sweats, maybe you've got fever, or things going down, wherever it is in the body is, just to know, are you in conflict? You're in this hyper state of where you're not calm, you're feeling like there's a tiger, or, things are not good in your world, or are you calm? And now you've got these symptoms. So your body has gone into the resolution. Sciatica is very popular. Most people, have that. And it's a healing phase. You've gone into a resolution. So this is the neat thing about your own body language is when you can start to ask yourself, am I conflict active? Am I worried? Am I ruminating? Am I in a loop? Or am I in a healing phase where the symptoms have come now, but I am calm, I'm tired, I'm in that parasympathetic, that rest and digest kind of state. Okay. So I call this the construction crew when you're in that first phase A of healing. And with the construction crew, when the body is rebuilding itself, think about, rebuilding, getting you stronger. This is when our microbes are going to be there and they're helping. They're on our helping team to make the body stronger. Another question you can ask when a symptom comes up is, why is it here? Why would those microbes be there? There's so many things that we haven't been taught in the traditional system to as a way of looking at the body of, instead of looking at what's wrong, what's right about your symptoms right now, and why would your brain turn that on? We're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay, so once the construction and crew is done, that phase A, the first phase, then what's going to happen is you're going to move into the epicrisis. And that is acute in a short time period, and you may have chills or fever, or that's when epileptic seizures happen, and heart attack and stroke, sneezing, coughing. So what's happening basically is that the edema or the healing fluid from the phase A is now squeezing out of the organ and the brain. Okay, and then the body's going to go into the second healing phase B, and this is when you are going to pee a lot, or whatever microbes and things were needed in the body are now wanting to come out. Okay, so this is, again, just knowing what phase you're in. And then once that peeing phase is done, or phase B, then you are stronger. All of the tissues that were being rebuilt or whatever was going on, now the body is stronger once you've completed the full healing phase. So a lot of people end up in healing phase A. They go to get help from any kind of practitioner, even herbs, it just depends on when you're taking them. And it can put you back into conflict active. So again, just really trust your body, trust your intuition on whether something is for you or not, so that you are learning to, listen to your own body and what it needs versus what someone else is sharing with you. And if you have an emergency, always go and seek medical attention. Absolutely. Okay. And so the two things that will help you remember, what phase you're in: if you're hot, you're healing, and if you're cold, you're in conflict. Okay. And I would recommend to eat or drink the opposite, because it just helps the body in what you are moving through. Next phase is the third biological law. And this is my favorite one, actually, because, I was part of the summer workshops in 2024. And it was amazing to learn this perspective, to learn GHK as a system based on the germ layers, the 4 germ layers and the 3 tissue types. Okay, and so the scientific chart is there, and you can get it from Amici's website. And if you're learning it by the color, it makes it way easier than trying to learn each of the organs on their own. And I'm super grateful for the color system, because it just helps my brain to see the patterns. But when you're writing down all of your symptoms and you write down what color they're a part of, I'm going to give you some tips right now to actually read your body a little bit better, based on what the symptoms are, what color it comes from, or the type of what brain, the organ tissue is there, and what kind of conflict that might have been. Okay, so in simple, the yellow has to do with, so it's the endoderm, that part of the brain. It has to do with morsel conflicts. Okay, the old mesoderm has to do with protection, not feeling protected. So those are like basic needs, okay, of the body. And when you've got those two at the top of the circle there in the middle, they are cell plus in conflict active and cell minus in healing. Okay, so that's a helpful tip for you as well, to know what you got going on in the body and what the symptom is saying. The other one is the um, new mesoderm. Okay, so the orange one on the bottom, and that's muscles, bones, ligaments, etc., which have pain in the healing phase. And this has to do with abilities, not feeling good enough. Okay, so again, take stock. First of all, how's your breathing? And where do you hurt? It's going to tell us another part of the story where the location is as well. But this gives you an idea of, has to do with abilities. And then the red is the ectoderm, and this has to do with communication. Okay, so the bottom part of this circle graph has to do with cell minus in conflict active, that right, when you're the tiger's there, you will not have the symptoms necessarily. It's not until you go into resolution when the symptoms come. And so you've got cell minus in conflict and cell plus in the healing phases. Okay, so that is some really good information there. I, have been studying GHK for a while, and I always, was a kind of wondering why the third law was never explained in this way. I just feel like, because maybe it is a little bit more complicated, people just, would blow over the third law. But I'm like, oh my goodness, if we can learn it from this way as a system, it's so much easier. So imagine you're sitting down, you're writing out your symptoms, or if you're a practitioner, you're working with a client and they have all orange, from the new mesoderm. That's all of the pains that they have. You know that they have an issue with abilities, a self-devaluation of not feeling good enough. If majority of the symptoms are in the red group, then you know that there's some kind of communication issue. And for real, that's, majority of the world. We didn't grow up learning how to communicate and how to express ourselves in a healthy way. And so this is, some more ways that you can read your own body. I like the words perspective detective, just to put a little bit of fun and playfulness into it. Because when you are looking at your symptoms from a place of being a detective, you actually come out of the situation and you're giving yourself that space to look at it top down versus being in it in the moment. Okay. And so what the perspective detective does is it allows you to look at your symptoms and is there any way you can change your perspective around what is going on, whether it's morsel or reproduction or your basic needs or protection or abilities or communication, right? As a way of looking at yourself. And then a good question is, why would my brain turn on this program? Why would my brain turn this symptom on? Okay, because then now you've come out of the situation and you're looking at it from outside of the situation and you're going to, receive some more information that you wouldn't have received if you were in the looping of, oh my goodness, why is this happening? What's wrong with my body now, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And then you can ask yourself, I have this symptom. Let's say low back pain is an example. It's very common. Am I upset or cold? Right? Then you would know you're in conflict active. You're in that fight or flight stage. Or am I calm or warm? Then you know you're in healing, parasympathetic. And then you can ask yourself, did I resolve something? Right? As a way of looking at your body and saying, okay, I've been doing some work or I stood up for myself, with my parents or whatever, then you're going to know why the body has chosen to adapt in that way. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the whys. Is answering your why or how first. Why is a symptom here or where did it come from? How did I get this? Takes more of the fear out of the symptoms, okay, and puts you back into control, puts you back into, looking at your own body as far as like why that would turn on. Your body's always for you, it's not against you. Here is some examples on the psyche body organ connection. Okay, so in that moment when you had the conflict that you felt alone, isolated, and caught on the wrong foot, in that moment, there were three things that were taken on, a snapshot, if you will, of what was going on in your environment. And so resolving conflict shock or adaptations in the body is what's happening or what you are running or ruminating on in the subconscious. Okay, so again, you can look at, why would the brain turn on this certain symptom? And, I'm going to show you some pelvic floor examples on, especially for women who are getting older, it can be part of the problems. And just looking at, what is there and what can be going on. So, for example, we've got, the physical symptom of leaking, then the emotional or the conflict active, what would have been happening during just before, depending on if it's in resolution or if you're conflict active, would be a territorial marking conflict. Who is overstepping your boundaries? Or you have a feeling of I'm not safe in my boundary or in my territory, or maybe you don't have a territory because you're newly, divorced or you left a job or your mom died or something like that. This happened to me in January. And so just, watching my body through that process after the whatever I would have been conflict active for can't happen again. Your body really goes through some changes and some shifts based on what is going on in your life. Prolapse, right? Self-devaluation, not being able to hold the baby or to hold the fetus or to hold a partner as well. Pelvic floor spasm and tightness is a healing phase of self-devaluation. Okay, it could be a motor conflict as well or feeling stuck, just depending on the situation. Unexplained UTIs. Oh my goodness, I had so many rounds of antibiotics when I was younger before I even knew, how to look at things from a natural perspective. And that was the healing phase of a territorial marking conflict. That would have been so good for me to know back then. Sciatica, the healing phase of a burden. The burden is too great or self-devaluation. When it's in the muscle, it's more of a mild self-devaluation. When it's in the bone, it's a little bit more severe. But again, why? Why is it there? And what changes can you make where you can do this from an empowered place to allow the body to complete the healing cycle? Constipation, I think this could be a whole presentation on this alone, around going to the bathroom because, it's something that people, especially highly sensitive people, will have issues with constipation when when you're in a conflict active state around a worry or you're afraid or you're walking on eggshells, or you have, maybe a big conversation with your boss and you're really afraid, or your partner, and you don't know what the outcome is, your body goes into that freeze, and that is definitely when you're constipated, you are conflict active. The opposite, when you have diarrhea, you're going too much, then you've resolved something. That is the resolution. So knowing those two, then I feel like you have more patience for the symptom when you know what part of the healing phase or where you are in that process. Low back pain, self-evaluation in healing though, right? The orange group is the new mesoderm is bones, muscles, ligaments have pain in the healing phase of self-evaluation or not feeling good enough in your abilities. And then again, where it is in the body tells us a whole bunch more of the story. Okay, next I want to talk to you about the kidney collecting tubules. Again, I mentioned this, I think, is the most important one to learn and to know what is going on in the body, whether you are helping family or you are a practitioner and you are helping clients. You can tell when someone has puffiness in them or a baby face, that kind of thing, to know that there's been something in their life that's gone on where they have that, and maybe they are stuck in a freeze kind of pattern. And it's looking at the body. Where is the extra weight? Water weight is what it's going to be. Okay, this is part of the yellow group. So it's cell plus in conflict active. There's something in their world where they're not feeling safe and secure. And so it's playing perspective detective again and really looking at the symptoms and writing down what is going on and also what is going on in your world that is going to be why the body is adapting in this way. Okay, so as part of learning your body's language, what is real and true for you right now? Okay, and before I explain the kidney collecting tubules, let's take another check-in. How are you breathing? I feel like I'm a little bit up in my throat, so I'm gonna, come back down and just calm my body. It's gonna put my hand on my belly and breathe myself down. I'm safe. This is something I love talking about. I could talk about this for days, but I'm also aware I'm on camera. So in the moment now, come down if your breathing has been a little bit heightened and come into a calmer breath. Again, it's all about awareness. And when you have that awareness, there's so much more you can do for yourself and feel more empowered. Okay, so the kidney collecting tubules, there are, main things that are happening. Basically, you have that, there's been something going on in your world where the kidney tubules are going to close so that it will hold on to the liquid or the urea so it can turn it into protein to help your body. Again, it's helping you on some level. So looking at why would the body choose to do this? It could be that you have some refugee issue going on where you feel like a fish out of water, or you've just moved, or you're starting a new job, or you're divorced, or something has happened in your world where you don't feel safe and secure. And I would say this could be, something that is often it can be temporary, right? When you move, let's say you start a new job, you're going to feel the wobbles or feeling nervous and like a fish out of water, but for a short time, because then you'll get into a groove and you'll meet some people at work and that sort of thing. So I find that one is a little bit of the easier one where you can look at your situation and either find a biological resolution, or let yourself know. You can change your perspective of like, okay, actually, I know that I'm looking for a new job or a new place to live, but this is temporary, that something will come in and then that part is going to go away. Again, more patience when you know why you have the symptom. The next, let's talk about abandonment and feeling abandoned in your life and whatever situations happen. You can see the two phases there with the conflict active and then the red little half circles there of the healing phase. So just knowing where you are in the process. And on the very bottom, I want to touch to the blue and red, because what's happening there is that is something called a hanging healing, where you go into, you're in conflict, healing, and you go back and forth. And so just knowing where you are on maybe the merry-go-round of your symptoms, you can start to process and to clear things on your own. Okay. On the right side, an existence conflict as well of like, who am I? Where do I belong? Who has my back? That sort of thing. Okay. On the right side, if you can take note, and if you are writing notes or, screenshot this page so that you can remember that the KCT or kidney collecting tubules, okay, the acronym for this to remember what they're connected to on the conflict connection is the word air with an E. This is how I learned it. I don't remember which teacher. I apologize because I would love to say thank you because has helped me so much to remember what it is. But with the kidney collecting tubules, so an air, for you to remember this, it's abandonment, isolation, refugee, and existence conflict. Okay. So that you can do that for yourself or anyone else that you might be helping, okay, with this information. So I want to teach you a couple tricks or ways that you can look at each of those four stages and maybe change your perspective or look at it from another way. Of course, always looking for the biological resolution, but when that can't happen, then it's a way of downgrading or talking yourself down from being so extremely conflict active if that is the case. So with abandonment, and you look at it, it's like, were you abandoned or were you being called into something else? Okay. Are you isolated or is there somewhere where you have support? Or can you tell someone the secret or the hard thing? Refugee, like I mentioned, you're looking for a new place or you feel like a fish out of water, whatever it may be. Is it temporary? Is there some steps you can take to alleviate that feeling of being alone or isolated or feeling like a fish out of water? And then existence conflict of knowing, like, who are you? Where do you belong? And I've also done a graphic on that. So there's a little bit more coming up for that. Okay. Let's now talk about syndrome. So KCT first, always. And when you have a special biological program that's going on, so let's say you have a sore toe. This is a really good one, actually. So you've got something around abilities where you don't feel good enough. Arthritis or anything, itis is connected to inflammation as well. The extra edema that's there. But again, why is it there? And so with syndrome, what it means is that you're running a program or you have pain or you have a symptom and you've got the KCT running at the same time. Okay, so gout as an example with the toe that is hurting, then you would want to look at healing the KCT first, the abandonment, isolation, refugee, and existential or existence conflict so that the swelling can come down. Okay, so there's some really great information. I just want to give a shout out to Nicola, who does these amazing graphics in a Telegram group called Germanische Heilkunde Matters, and just really amazing information just to help us to learn the true basics of Dr. Hamer's work. And so, having all of the information here on how to heal KCT and syndrome and any other things that you might be going through. This, I feel, helps us all to feel like we're not isolated, that we have community, we have a village or support when we can go and things are a little bit bigger for us than we're able to manage on our own. Okay, so again, you would be having some kind of a symptom from a program that you're running. So if it was, gout, that means that there's an ability issue having to do with the toe or the foot, depending on where it is, and you're running the KCT program at the same time, and that is called syndrome. When you have syndrome, the pain is so much greater. It's exacerbated. So what I find, I had someone call me yesterday, actually, beautiful soul that's in my world, and I could just feel a panic in her. And her pain was so intense. So I walked her through the KCT stuff, and she was like, "Actually, yeah, thank you. I didn't even have that in my awareness, but you're absolutely right." So it helped her to downgrade in that moment so that the pain can be less because chronic pain is really hard. And when you have chronic pain for a long time, you're not functioning. Your brain cannot see all of the things. It might be that you're hungry and there's an apple on the table, but you can't even see it because your brain can't function and hold that much information. So you got to start with where you are. Why am I so much in overwhelm, right? Why is my body turning this on so that you can start to downgrade it yourself? Next, is just to share on the right-hand side is when you've got more pain than usual or the symptom seems extreme, maybe you're in the epicrisis or maybe you're running syndrome alongside one of the programs that you're running. Puffiness anywhere under your skin is also going to tell you that there is some syndrome going on. And this is always the first thing that we want to take care of so we can lessen the pain, open up your thinking brain so that you can actually, find more of the resolutions that would help you in your situation. What can be really helpful is writing out a timeline so that you can just track your symptoms. Even if you have, a journal and for every decade you take a page and just write down things that maybe would be helpful. Careful not to go too extreme into hypochondriac world, where you just want to like things to note, where something scared you or you just had that shock, right? That moment where you felt alone, isolated, and caught on the wrong foot. Okay, it will really help. When we have symptoms, so some SBSs or some things, programs running on and syndrome, this is when what it can look like. So as an example, bronchitis then becomes pneumonia because of the extra fluid. Hepatitis, becomes hepatology. I can't say that word, sorry. It's there. What's another one? Arthritis then can become gout. Okay, so you can see there on the page when things become more extreme because of the syndrome. And this is why I think this is one of the most important things for us to learn as we're learning GHK and how to process it so that we're not in such a heightened state of pain or heavy, heavy symptoms. Okay, perspective detective. This is the, next thing I wanted to share is to start to allude to it a little bit, but can you flip your perspective and what is your truth? Your own self-awareness, because when you know your patterns or what it is that you're moving through, then it's easier for you to see what the changes could be or how to find the resolution for yourself. Okay, so with abandonment, again, were you abandoned? Yes or no? If it was yes, then process that. Absolutely. Maybe there's a hurt that you need to process. If you feel, well, like, no, so long ago, or I don't need to hold on to that belief anymore, then look at the biological solution. Is there a new belief that you could have? Is it true? Or were you being called into something greater? Okay, it's a learning experience. And did you have better boundaries? That could be another thing to move you out of abandonment. Okay, for myself, just to share a little bit of a personal story, I don't know my biological dad. I never met him, but I found out at age 12 that he knew about me but never came for me. And so I had a big, huge wound of abandonment growing up. And I really had to process that, where now I can say, I don't know my bio dad, just like I can say the sky is blue. Like I've healed the emotional charge that was there and part of it. So I can see that we were not meant to meet in this lifetime, or we would have. Next is isolation. Are you isolated? Or do you feel alone? Maybe it is a yes. Or can you show your brain where you do have support? Where's the proof of things that are going well? Okay, who is there for you? Where are they? How do you access them? I tell clients like they can use the spa here as one of the places where they don't have to feel isolated. You can come and tell us the hard thing or to get the relief or the relaxing, session, whatever it is that you need, but to know that you're not alone, that there is, whether it's support groups. I mean, there's so many beautiful GH groups that are free, some are paid. It's really just finding a community, I would say a little village of those who are learning and teaching that you feel comfortable in, and then continue to learn more about yourself and thrive. Okay. But by naming them, then you're showing your brain that you are not truly isolated. Next, refugee. Are you a fish out of water? Yes, no. Looking at it, processing. Is it temporary? That maybe will help. But changing the perspective, what can you do to change the belief or the situation if possible? And is there a biological solution that will help you to resolve it completely? Okay, we always want to look for the biological solution, not necessarily talking it out to someone. That helps. It helps to downgrade, but Nicola and I were having actually a really good conversation around, when you've got something hard that has happened, like let's say, a loved one passes, it's going and talking, to someone about that situation. That's one thing when you have someone who's passed away. But let's say you've had an argument with your best friend. You can go and talk to someone else, even a practitioner, and it's going to help downgrade, but the resolution isn't truly going to come until that person, you have a conversation with that person, or something shifts in their relationship where now that's the biological resolution of going to the person directly. And, being able to increase your communication or your emotional maturity skills so that it's not so scary, that your perspective is true, their perspective is true, and we just figure out where was the misconnect. That will help you so much, that you're vital and, you are important. You're what you have to share or how you perceive the situation is also really important. There's so much miscommunication in the world just because we never really learned how. We jump to conclusions first. We react instead of responding from our heart. And so, just give yourself some of that care and compassion, that you can only do the best you can with the skills you have until you learn something new. So you can't go back and beat yourself up for skills you didn't have at the time when there was some kind of trauma or drama or something that happened. You can now move forward with the new awareness, and we do better when we know better. Next is existence or existential conflict. That would be where you feel like you don't know why you're here, or life's been really hard, or nobody has your back. Who will catch you if you fall? That's a really good one. If you don't have someone, it's like really search, if you were in a pinch, who could be there for you? Because it will help to clear the syndrome and KCT ideally. So this is how to do this, is having a belief in a higher power, God, spirit, nature, whatever your comfort word is for that, but some kind of a comfort that you are meant to be here, okay? That you are vital, that you are alive at this time. I feel to help humanity for a reason. We're really shifting the way that we look at our bodies, at natural health, and all of that. And so, even just learning Germanische Heilkunde, you would be on the healing team, I would say, or the team that is moving us forward and helping humanity to thrive by being able to read our own bodies. And then what brings you joy, right? Being able to look at, and doing the things that bring you joy is totally going to shift you up out of any kind of heaviness. If you're ready to do that, there's also a time to process and not to bypass things. I also like birth charts, astrology, because with those human design, when you have your chart read, then I just feel it gives so much clarity. When I was learning my charts, and this was only in the last 5 years, I grew up religious, so we weren't allowed to do that. But since I started to figure out, well, what do I believe? Then the chart has helped me, and I've gained so much confidence in why I'm here and who I can help, that I'm so glad that I did it and that I broke the fear of, having a reading done, because it's just given me so much clarity. And I feel that's such a good way to heal any existence conflict. Okay, yeah, I'm almost done. I'm going to share a few more things here on how can you ground yourself? How can you, have some practices of things that you can do that will help you. I'm just realizing now I wanted to put the brains technique from Whitney. If you have not seen that, search it on YouTube. But basically, it's the left right brain hemisphere that you are connecting to, whether it's your legs or your arms. And so basically, with brains, is that, let's say you're so pissed off, someone just took something from your car, right? And so what you could do is just like you tap on your legs or your arms as fast as your brain is going, and you, for 90 seconds or 2 minutes, you just get it out. Oh my gosh, that was so inconvenient. I can't believe that person did that. How inconsiderate, whatever it is. And you just say all the things because you're getting it up and off your body. After 90 seconds or 2 minutes, then your brain is going to give you a task. It's either going to say, stop the tapping, I'm tired, or go get a sandwich, go for a walk. It's going to give you some kind of task so that you've moved through that in that moment. That's a really, really beautiful technique. And so that was actually supposed to be on the slide, and I will add that. So here are some other natural tools that you can use. Grounding barefoot. We are electromagnetic beings. We are electrical. And so with that, think of ions. Positive ions is stress. Negative ions is when we are in that calm. Think of like when it's raining and you want to sleep. Those are negative ions. It's helping you to reset or recharge your natural body. And so you can go out and put your feet in the grass. If you do that for, even 5 minutes every morning before going to work or starting your day, you will feel so good. You'll be listening to the birds. You'll just have a totally different outlook on your day and on life, even that things will start to feel easier. Okay, a breath break. That's hard to say fast, but every time you check the time or you're checking your phone, if you can in that moment, check your breath, right? Check it right now. How are you breathing? Are you back up in your chest like I just realized I am? Or are you taking deeper, slower breaths? And if you're doing that automatically, good for you because majority of people are not doing that, right? We're stuck in that. What's going to happen? Okay, time in nature. This girl is climbing a lemon tree. It's so cute. And she's in her bare feet. I really like that about it too. The more you connect with nature, like think about mycelium under the earth. And when you hug a tree or you just put your hand on the tree, it is something that is bigger than you. So it will just help you feel connected to I would say the quintessence, that fifth law of it's not just you in this world, but there's so many other things that are here, around with us as well. Self massage, you can massage your own feet so that you are feeling really, connected to yourself, really good to do before bed because you're calming. You can feel where there's some pains in the foot. That also is a way to read your own body language. You can look at a reflexology mat. Next is to put your hand on your chest to ground. So if you do that now and take a deep breath and you do that 3 times, you actually can bring yourself back into homeostasis. Same with the bunny breath. It's 2 quick in and 1 long one out. So it's you do that 3 times and you're back into calm. You just pulled yourself out of fight or flight. Putting your hand on your belly, you can say you're safe. If you're having a hard time with breathing or you notice you've got anxiety or you've gone into fight or flight, you just put your hand on your chest and you breathe yourself down 5 or 10 times. Teach that to your kids because then you are regulating yourself in the moment of overwhelm, but it's also having the awareness to know that you are in overwhelm. Okay. Next is alternating nose breath. So you can hold your nose. You can put your hand on your chest if you want, but basically you're breathing in one side and out the other. You can also feel which one feels a little bit more stuck. And if it's on mother, child side, partner, and everyone else, that will also give you a little bit more indication if you are in conflict active or, waiting for something bad to happen in a sense. Okay. It could also be self-soothing frequency instruments. So playing the guitar or the Kambala that's pictured there beside the tuning forks. Tuning forks are amazing because when you put them on your body and you hold it, then you can feel when the vibration stops with less than 30 seconds. If it's more than 30 seconds, then your body's doing great. There's some really good energy flow there. I like using them with clients because they can actually sense where the tuning fork stops. So I recommend a set for every home, or if you know someone that has one, ask them to borrow it and test it out. Try anywhere on your body, anywhere you have pain. And if it's less than 30 seconds, then your body is, I always slurp in like, oh, thank you. It's like getting the healing music. That's what tuning forks are. It's a frequency, a hertz, 432, 528. It's putting that frequency of healing back into the body. And then here's a little thing you can try, a little trick. Put it on your ankles, on either side of your ankle or on your wrists. Those are always weakened points for people, and the tuning fork usually is less than 30 seconds. Okay. And then you just breathe through, do it a few more times, process, think about the body part and where it is. You can look it up as well so that you know exactly what is going on in the body. Another thing you can do is long hugs, and you would want to hold someone behind their heart and their stomach area or womb space for women, and you just breathe in. And I really like this picture because those two girls are actually hugging and they're connecting, but they're on the left side. Okay, the heart's not there. If you come over onto the right side, then there's even more of a connection because of the electromagnetic energy from the heart. And so when you're holding, always hug to the right. Sometimes it's awkward. You look like you're going to kiss someone, make a little joke, but come to the right and you just hold. And if you hold more than 20 seconds, you are both going to receive oxytocin, that good feeling of just feeling that all is well in the world. And if you can wait and you're breathing and you can just, just receive being held in that safety by someone that you feel safe with, what'll actually happen is after a little bit of time, your body will sigh. It'll go into the hug, and then you know that your body is safe, that you feel calm in that moment. Very important for couples when they are coming together for any kind of intimacy to wait for that body to sigh because you'll have a totally different experience. Okay. Some other tools would be extra long snuggles, talking more, whether it's, hanging out with the family, watching a movie, or just connecting and talking, or with a partner. Day naps, super helpful. When I lived in Asia, I really appreciated that they would take naps after lunch. I would nap with the kids. It was great. Another thing you can do is Dead Sea salt caves. Okay, I own two. I'm in the salt cave here doing the presentation, and the healing benefits from it are so amazing. I have practitioners who do massage here with me, and they always say that the client relaxes way more when they're doing the session in the salt cave versus in another practitioner room. So if you have one near you, or you can go to the sea, even better, and be in that air and to just, sink into the beautiful healing benefits of a salt cave or the ocean, even better. Sound baths, that picture on the bottom there with the crystal bowls. Sound healing is so beautiful. You don't even really need to talk. It's just like you can go in with an intention. What do I want to clear today? What am I working on? Or what's a little bit of a hard struggle right now? You know what? I'm just going to intend. I'm going to make the decision to just clear that out of my body. And you can do that. You're going to be breathing deep and low, hopefully expanding that diaphragm. So you'll always feel calm after any kind of meditation or sound bath, or the handpan is also really beautiful. If you have an opportunity to go to a live session, I highly recommend. Next, obviously, is Dr. Hamer's Lullaby, and you can get that from Amici, so that's there to listen to. I just learned, he's got the cello where he's playing, and it's a 432 hertz. So that is one that I'm definitely going to check out, because when you're playing that, it's already downgrading the conflicts in the subconscious. Music is such an amazing healer, and we're so fortunate that he left us that piece as well to help us. And then all of the work that Giovanna is doing as well, super grateful because we've got this awareness of the effect of music on the body. Tuning forks are listed there again, and then soothing baths. And with magnesium chloride flakes, those are really great, better than Epsom salt, for actually getting that magnesium and relaxing the body in through the blood. And also with baths, I was going to say one more thing. It could be Himalayan sea salt as well. Sea salt in your water is also really helpful. Water follows salt. So just being sure that you are topped up on your minerals. So those are some ways, those are common ways that I tell clients is how you can help yourself at home naturally. A lot of them are free, as a way of looking after yourself. So we're almost done here. I just wanted to say thank you. This has been such a pleasure to be here with you and to share in this special celebration for Dr. Hamer with his big birthday, and just also the spreading of this beautiful work. I am in Waterloo, which is 1 hour outside of Toronto, and definitely host retreats, in-person events, online events. I've been working with Anna, the health inspirer. We met in Freya together, and we've created something really unique to help nurture women to feel supported, to be nourished. And so it's called the Naturally Nourished Femme. If that's something that interests you, then reach out to one of us on Instagram, and we can go through the details with you. But it's really just to be that place of support, looking at what's going on in the body in a bunch of different ways that her and I have been learning. Of course, with GHK as the main foundation, the biological connection to why is your body responding in that way. And then lastly, I just want to say thank you again to Dr. Hamer, to his legacy, to all those who've been involved in translating and processing, the information so that we can have it. Dr. Varghese, thank you so much, and for Global GHK and all that you're doing to spread the beautiful work that you're doing. And to all of the teachers and students and parents who are raising their children with the knowledge of GH, what an amazing world we're going to have in 10, 15, 20 years, where together we are all building a natural way of inner awareness and harmony. And this will be for generations, which is really exciting. So, again, thank you so much for listening, and I wish you well.